Well, hello, and welcome to another edition of Eagle News Forum. My name is Dr. Malcolm Beach, and I'm your host for today's show. Also, my co-host, Malcolm Muhammad, is with me today. How are you, Malcolm?
Doing well, sir. Good to see you. Good to see you.
And we have a very special guest today, Mr. Miko Muhammad. Did I say that close to right?
Yes. Thank you very much for hosting me here.
All right. Mr. Kiko Muhammad is in Uganda. And basically, what we're going to talk about today is this upcoming event that Kiko and his associates have planned for the government of Uganda, the government and the private sector of Uganda, with some African American business people. And it's a unique opportunity to exchange information and find out what are the possible deals in Uganda. Now that's my version. Kiko, give us your version. What it is that we're going to be looking forward to next week.
Oh, thank you very much, Dr. Malcolm. Thank you very much, Mr. Mohammed and Cleveland. My name is Mohammed Ko. I'm an investment attorney in Uganda. I'm a partner with an investment law firm called KM Associates in Uganda, which is focused on facilitating foreign companies to do business in Uganda. Our law firm, working with the government of Uganda, the Uganda Investment Authority, the Uganda National Chamber of Commerce, the American National Chamber of Commerce in Uganda, Ernst & Young, and the National Black Chamber of Commerce here in the USA have organized a virtual business summit that is taking place next week on the 17th of October, 2023, that shall showcase business opportunities in Uganda's top 12 priority sectors, including mining, gold, commercial agriculture, clean energy, real estate, IT, name it, quite many. So the objective of this business summit is to interest African American business owners in doing business in Uganda. And those African American corporations or business owners who will make decision to invest in Uganda shall be facilitated, shall be assisted or supported by our law firm and the government to establish in Uganda or to do business in Uganda, tap in any resources with a lot of ease. So basically, that's the business summit. That's what it is.
Okay.
And maybe one more thing I need to touch about is we have assembled a list of 300 Ugandan local corporations, which we shall match make with African American businesses dealing in the same space, or who will be interested in doing business in the same spaces as these local businesses are carrying out.
Okay, that sounds very good. It seems like this is also the first time that something like this has occurred between Uganda and the African American business community. Is that correct?
Very correct. This is the first time. And we, the government, is highly excited.
Yeah, I think so. So, Malcolm Muhammad, did you have any thoughts or questions you wanted to add to this?
Yes, I got a quick question for Mr. Muhammad. What is your vision for the outcome of this conference? Like, you're holding the conference? It sounds like a great opportunity and experience that we'll have next week. But long term, what is your long term vision? What do you see happening, or what would you like to see happen between the two parties?
Now, this is the starting point in a very long and wider relationship. We are looking at having a closer cultural relationship between the government of Uganda and the African American community in the USA. This is like the saying that it takes one step to start 1,000 journey mile. This is the first step we are taking. So we are looking at a wider, huge cooperation or relationship between the African American community and the government of Uganda. It's something bigger than the summit. The summit is just a starting point.
I see.
Okay. Then now some of the speakers that you have lined up, they seem to be very, very high up folks. You even have the president is going to be a part of the conference. Is that right?
Yes, the president will make a keynote address.
Yeah, so that means that the government, the Uganda government, is really committed to making this a success. Is that, can we say, is that a fair assessment?
That's a very correct assessment. The government of Uganda is really, really much interested in having the first step in having a wider, huge cooperation between the two parties to be very successful. I'll give you an example. The government is saying those African American corporations that shall make a step to start doing business in Uganda, mainly those which shall tap into the country's resources, shall be given a number of concessions. So the government is really, really committed and really, really interested in seeing that they start working on a closer cultural cooperation between the African diaspora and the government of Uganda.
Okay. I mean, you've got some of your speakers include, I guess, some ministers, and then you've got some lawyers involved, the judiciary. So all of the rules and regulations about doing business in Uganda will be clear and clarified. Is that what you see?
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. Now, this is the way the summit was structured. Now, it essentially has two sessions. The first session has two parts. The first part in the first session shall be remarks by the minister, remarks by the relevant government officials, keynote address by the president. Then the second part in the first session shall be presentations. Now, these are presentations on critical aspects which any foreign business which wants to do business in Uganda should know. For example, taxes. What are the different tax regimes available in the country, for foreign corporations? Two, regulatory compliance issues. What are the things which African American corporations who have made decision to invest in Uganda should know, things to comply with, For example, the judiciary. They will be talking about the existing business dispute settlement mechanism. Assuming an African American business identifies a local partner through whom to do business or work together, definitely whenever there is a partnership, disputes are part of life. So the question not be a dispute, but how can the dispute be solved? So now the judge shall highlight the different dispute settlement mechanisms available in the country in the event a dispute arises between an African American corporation and maybe a Ugandan local partner, or any, not necessarily within a local partnership, thing. Yes.
Okay. Well, it seems like, are you going to have a follow-up in-person conference as well sometime in the future?
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. There's something maybe which I had forgot to highlight. That's the second session. Now, the second session has 13 presenters. Now, these are presenters, private sector, solid in the respective sectors. These sectors shall run concurrently, which means an African American corporation definitely will have to choose one. And these presenters will make presentations on the overall terrain of the sector, and then they shall also highlight the different opportunities under the sector. So then that's first day. On the second day, which is the 18th of October, we shall engage African American corporations which piqued interest in, knowing more or in furthering steps to do business, and match make them with local corporations which are into the spaces for which they are interested in. Now, after that, in the event an African American corporation has made decision to do business, then our law firm, which is an investment law firm, will provide the necessary legal advisory, will provide the necessary legal documentation, will do the business structuring, and each and everything which the African American corporation will need in order to start a business in Uganda.
So you're going to have actually some Ugandan businesses meeting one-on-one with these businesses, the African American businesses, or some sort of a joint meeting of some sort?
Yes. After matching the respective corporations, that's the Ugandan corporation and the African American corporation, they will have business-to-business discussions. Now, in the event the African American corporation has made decision to move on with making a business in Uganda or doing business wherever, then they would be given all the necessary legal advisory, all the necessary support in order to start a business.
Tell me, and Mr. Mohammed, will some of the corporations that you mentioned, I think you mentioned there are like 300 Ugandan corporations that are going to be participants in this event. Will they be presenting their companies at the event so that we would have an idea of what they do and what opportunities and partnerships they're looking for?
No, thank you very much. Initially, that's what intended, but being a virtual business summit, we zeroed on, like on the second day of the summit, if say a company in the US, African American corporation, is interested in extracting coffee, importing coffee to the US, what we shall do, we shall give it details of the Ugandan companies which are dealing in coffee. Now, they will schedule among themselves on when they can have virtual business-to-business discussions, talk, discuss, understand better before making a decision. So on the second day of the event, we shall predominantly be matchmaking. African American corporations will reach out to us and say, hey, look here, for me, I'm interested in gold mining. Can you get me partners who are into gold mining? Then we shall send a list of partners and contacts in the gold mining, and then the two parties shall schedule their business-to-business meetings, and then just in the event the decision is made, that's when we will come in to provide legal advisory and counsel on how to start the business.
Okay. Now, this is something that I guess a lot of African countries always want to do. They're trying to find investments, more dollars, I guess, coming into their country, and they're trying to do business. Does it make, tell me about the difference between exports and imports. Is that a kind of business activity that you're interested in?
That's a very good question, sir. Dr. Malcolm. The government, I think, is more interested in our foreign companies coming into the country to tap into the resources. But the kind of tapping into the resources they are more interested in is add value in Uganda before you export. The government says that this is a win-win situation. When you say, for example, if it's coffee and you say I'm going to roast coffee and I export roasted coffee from Uganda to the US as a final product, you, as a foreign corporation dealing with exportation of a final product, you'll earn more money. But at the same time, you'll provide jobs in Uganda through putting up factories or a roaster which shall do the roasting. So that's the way they are looking at it. So they are very much interested in value addition, and actually that's where the concessions from the government comes in. Now, this does not mean that an African American corporation cannot come to Uganda, extract cocoa, coffee, shea butter, vanilla, gold, and take to the US in its raw form. That's possible. But the government's priority is there a way you can add on value? Because when you say you're adding on value, you're creating jobs for me here.
So it sounds like you want to, the government wants to build the economic and business capacity of Uganda. Would that be true? And then does that, once you build that capacity, are you targeting the Ugandan consumer?
No, it's a two-way traffic. There are foreign companies which have come to Uganda and they are manufacturing the products in Uganda and they are selling within the country. That's number one. Now, they are actually, that's, I'll give you something. Uganda has rare minerals. China has the biggest deposit of rare minerals in the whole world. Uganda's deposit is the second in the whole world, only second to China. Now, what the government is saying, can we have investors who could come here, make products from these minerals and sell on the Ugandan market?
What do you mean sell on the Ugandan market? You sell
now,
Ugandan consumers, or sell? Is Uganda part of a commodities market? What are you talking about?
Now, it's like a foreign investor, you can sell to any part of the world, but we would be very glad if you manufacture from here. Because now this is the way it is. I'll give an example. Foreign corporations get coffee from Uganda, raw beans, take it to Switzerland, roast, process, pack, and then sell it back to Uganda, 20 times more expensive. So now the government is saying, if we have an investor who is adding value here, but at the same time, let me give the best example is oil. You know very well that we have a lot of oil. Now, what the government has been looking at is, if an investor could process oil from here, whereby our people can access our own product at a low price, as opposed to going and then coming back at a higher price. So those are some of the things.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, I guess a lot of people in Africa want to do that same thing, have the value addition on the continent rather than just exporting raw materials. You want to say, well, let's produce something that we can utilize in country as well as export. So that's a very good. Now, in terms of making, I mean, we got to make sure this happens. I'm trying to think of what are some of the problems that you foresee, some of the challenges that that you're looking at in terms of this particular conference. What is the bottom line accomplishment you want to make?
And then how do you see us overcoming those challenges that you identify, which is say, maybe there's something that we should be doing that we don't normally do, but you see an easy way for us to manage those situations and difficulties?
Yes. Now, one of our, probably I would say as the biggest challenge in all this is probably maybe access to cheap financing when it comes to heavy investments, like mining, for those companies who would be interested in doing business in heavy investments like oil, mining, these definitely need a lot of money. So access to financing, I see that as a challenge. And probably recently I was in Atlanta this year, attended the National Black Chamber of Commerce conference, and I think one of the vice presidents, she's a Black woman of Exim Bank USA.
I think it's frozen.
Okay. Come on back, Kiko.
Okay. Yeah, yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, but I can't see you. Your picture is not correct.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
Yeah. So here's the thing. This is quite a very important point. In Africa, why governments are running to foreigners to come and tap into many of the heavy investment resources is because most of the Africans do not have, the locals, access to cheap financing to add value into these resources. Now, in Atlanta, one of the vice presidents of Exim Bank said that I think Exim Bank last year had a tune of $100 billion for American companies interested in doing business in Africa. But surprisingly, the slot which was taken by African American corporations was only $800 million, meaning 90% of the money remained redundant. Yet, this is cheap money. And to answer your question, financing being a challenge, the US seem to have cheaper financing mechanisms, which African Americans can tap into, get the money, come to Uganda and invest into these heavy investment portfolios, for those who are interested in heavy investment portfolios. So to summarize, the challenge would be for companies interested in bumping onto the heavy investment portfolios would be lack of financing, cheap financing. But I saw like 3 tools when I was at Atlanta, which was saying, hey, look here, African Americans, there's a lot of money for you, cheap financing, if you're doing business in Africa. Now, for example, I saw DFC. You see, so basically that's one of, something I see as the challenge, and the solution would be that at the backyard, for example, Exim, DFC, that's what it is.
Yeah, the DFC is the Development Finance Corporation of the U.S. government. And you're right, they do have quite a bit of funds set aside for Africa. But we got to apply for them, and we got to have good deals. You know what I mean? People have to feel that they're going to actually make some money. Now, is there any issue or problem with repatriation of funds? If I make some money in Uganda, can I take it out of Uganda?
Very good question. Uganda has the most liberal investment code on the African continent. Foreigners, African American corporations can repatriate 100% profits. 100%. Now, profits. Now, adding on the comment you had made that DFC, you have to show that the investment is lucrative, you're going to make money. I'll give you an example. in every $100 million worth of coffee we sell from Uganda, the gentleman who will add on value and sell to the final consumer will make $1 billion. So I'm giving an example of lucrativity. Now, gold. These are some of the
Come back, Kiko.
Yes, hello. I'm back. Sorry, I'm back. Hello.
Can you repeat? Can you repeat what you said about gold?
Yeah, and turn your picture back again. It's still on the side.
Back. I'm sorry. Yeah. So now, the gold. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Now the gold. We have gold deposits which are worth $14 trillion. That's the last report from international geologists. But 90% of the gold is mined locally, mentally in a crude way. So this means if an African American corporation which is interested in doing gold would basically invest into machinery, data technology to access more gold quickly than the way it is done here. Now can even sell directly to Americans at a way higher, because now at higher cost, a price, as opposed to locals who do it rudimentary and then sell it to Indians cheaply.
I see. Now the facilitation effort that you're going to do, the follow-up on these meetings and are going to be what? What do you plan? What does your company, was it KW Associates? What is it? KM?
Yes, KM Advocates and Associates, yes.
Okay. What follow-up plans do you have on the meetings and the outcomes and the connections that you're going to provide?
Oh, thank you so much. After the business-to-business meetings between the African American Corporation and the local corporation, and in the event the African American Corporation is interested in taking a step forward in doing business, now we shall reach out, the African American Corporation shall reach out to us, and we shall provide all the legal advisory, know all the dynamics, what is required, what is needed. Number two, we shall structure out the business relationship, which is appropriate for the sort of partnership, do business formalization, acquire the necessary licenses, necessary permits, whereby the African American Corporation will only start doing business.
Okay. All right. Well, I thank you very much, Mr. Kiko Muhammad. Our time is about up for today's show, and I'm going to be participating in one of those meetings next week, and see if we can't find some particular projects we can work on. But Malcolm, do you have any final questions or comments?
No, I thank Mr. Muhammad for his presentation. I look forward to the conferences next week. I think it's a great opportunity, and I look forward to the long-term success of his efforts.
Okay. All right. Thank you once again, Kiko, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. And once again, this is Dr. Malcolm Beach, your host for Eagle News Forum. And we're really glad that you joined us today. If you'd like to get in touch with us, our email is beacheagle@gmail.com. And our website is eaglenews.com. Thank you so much for watching us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Have a great day.